Welcome back. It is Halloween week here at the Let 'Em Know podcast. Yours truly, Ric Flair. You got the minion in the middle.
My boy?
And Badger, you Kung Fu Panda?
I am Cobra Kai getting ready to go against Miyagi Do.
Woo! So here we go. We're going to kick it off. We have another video entry here, submission here, and then we're going to go straight into the starts for week 8 here. All right. So this video entry, let's take a look at what we got here.
What's up, Let 'Em Know crew? My name's Cody. I'm a part of your Let 'Em Know versus Pro Fantasy Football League. Pretty sure I'm 4-3, but regardless, that's not why we're here. We're here because I have two important questions. I'm going to save you the boring explanation as to what's happening in this league, but it's a keeper league with a bunch of draft picks you can trade, and tanking is indeed involved. But I need to start sit help here at quarterback. I have Josh Allen. That's not the question. Running back, receiver flex, wide receiver, tight end flex, and OP. My decisions are Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, and CJ Stroud. This is my own fantasy football league that I run. It is a keeper league, as I said, and I do videos on my Instagram. It's at Out Here for the Team, FFL. It's like the sports center for my fantasy football league where I do all these cool videos. Feel free to check them out and follow along. My second question is, what do I do with T. Higgins? I'm in a 16-team league that I share with a good friend of mine, and our team we're 4-2, but the last 2 weeks have been pretty difficult. We're pretty discouraged, if you will. Our team is a starting team quarterback with the Chargers as our quarterback. We have Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard, T. Higgins is our starting receiver, Cortland Sutton, TJ Hawkinson. But what do we do with T. Higgins? It's been rather disappointing, and those ribs scare the heck out of me. I look forward to hearing what you guys think, and thanks for all your advice.
All right. I'll start it off. We'll change it up. I'll start it off here. Depending on, for the first question, I'm sitting T. Higgins, obviously. I'm not liking what I'm seeing out of that camp. And depending on how this league is structured, whether it's half-point PPR, full-point PPR, depending on if these QBs are passing touchdowns 6 or 4, I'm going to sit Stroud. Just going off if it's a 4-point touchdown and it is PPR, I'm going to sit Stroud. So in that case, T. Higgins and Stroud, I'm sitting in that. Second part of that question is T. Higgins, I'm on the trade train. So I'm looking to get rid of him. What can you get out of him? Depends on your league mates, really. That question's tough for any fantasy site because I know Badge and me are in a couple leagues together. We see some outrageous trades sometimes. So maybe try to get like a Jordan Addison, pair him up, try to get T. Higgins out. I don't like what's coming out of that camp whatsoever. So, Baney?
Yeah, so to shine a little bit of light on this, I agree with everything you just said. First off, this guy's league is, it's super legit. I know it's kind of hard to take me seriously right now, but his league is literally what everybody hopes to have for themselves. It spans 10 years.
That was crazy. Yeah, it's crazy over here.
So it spans 10 years, this league. He has friends that he's had in this league that live in multiple states now. I think one member even has a son that's in it now, so it spans generations. They Airbnb it for the draft. It's super deep league, super involved, super competitive. So that being said, I don't think T. Higgins has a spot on your roster. And even though everybody else is running 2 quarterbacks, and I believe this is a PPR league, you need those names that are on that board. You really do. And a little more advice, monitor the Eckler situation this week. I think he picked up a sprain. Just monitor that closely. And yeah, coming into the season, I thought I was the only person in the world that did not like T. Higgins. I felt like I was hearing praise from everywhere about T. Higgins. I never bought in. The guy playing on the other side of the field of him is just a monster. But as long as there's Burrow fans out there, there's going to be Higgins fans. I think you can get somebody to bite on a Higgins trade, especially if you can involve draft capital. Those other names you have on that team that you listed, pretty solid. So, I mean, I think you can afford to give up Higgins. So, Badge?
Oh yeah. First off, Bainey, that noise I think we just heard, I think that was Gru looking for one of his minions. I think that was one of his blimps going over. Anyways, what's up, Cody? Shout out to the whiteboard, though. I love that. I love the whiteboard. That's awesome. Thank you for your support, Cody. Go out there and follow him on Instagram. Out here for the team, FFL on Instagram. Thanks, Cody, for the support. I will be following you. First part of the question, I agree with Teak and Bainey. I think you got to sit Higgins this week just based on those names you have. I saw A.J. Brown. I mean, they're going up. Eagles have a great matchup. I think he's going to have a big day. Second, in a PPR league, even though I like Stroud's matchup, I think you got to sit him as well based on those options I saw. So second part, as far as T. Higgins go, what do you do with him? I'm a big fan of T. Higgins. I was bummed out when he went to the Bengals. I mean, yeah, he's having an off year with Burrow and him. Health is a big issue. I think you keep him. Higgins, anywhere in the NFL, when healthy, is a number one receiver, no doubt. I wouldn't let this first half of the season discourage you. I'm hanging on to Higgins unless, of course, you can get something good from a trade that benefits you guys and your team and you think it's better. But as far as Higgins goes, I'm not really worried about him. I like him as a player. So that's my advice, Cody. Thanks again for your support.
All right. That wraps up the video mailbag segment. Again, thanks for sending that in. We appreciate that. Guys, keep them coming. We love doing those type of entries, and hopefully we'll keep accumulating those here.
Shout out from the dojo.
Moving right along. We're talking start. So, Minion, what do you got for us at the QB position?
So, a couple weeks ago, we did what I thought was pretty fascinating. Like, we did a nice little kind of like players that need to show and prove, and if they didn't, kind of move on from them. I think this is the week. We're deep enough in the year. These players are going to show you who they really are, and you're going to see that trend in my starts and sits list this week. So my start this week is going to be Jordan Love, and if he doesn't give it to you this week, I think you're just going to have to fall out of Love. It's a great matchup against the Vikings. Minnesota defense is -7 in the turnover battle. The Packers should have a ton of opportunity. And I mean, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, Musgraves, these guys got to get going. And I think it's a get right week for this Packers team. And if it's not, I think that we're going to see some trouble there. So this is my start this week. I thought he was going to get it done last week. He kind of laid an egg, but hey, make or break list. Let's see what we got. Badge?
Oh, yeah. So, Gru is not looking for you with that one. I like it, Bainey, is all I got to say. Mr. Love was my deep dive. Love the matchup this week. They're riding high after they just had that. They're riding high. So, I mean, Packers Love, I mean, he put up 26, 27, 21, had a flop against the Raiders. He even had 20 against Denver. I mean, love the matchup. Vikings are riding high after that upset. I think they're going to come back down a little bit here. I think Love is poised for a big day. So I like this the start, Bainey. Teak?
For me, dude, Love has to take care of the ball more, man. He has a ton of picks right now. I believe he's at 7. That's the main focus I would like to see with him. As far as the start from Minnesota, dude, Minnesota, that game that they just had that they surprised a lot of people in, they kind of shocked me. I know you can't go off last week, but that raised my eyebrows a ton. But yeah, knowing that defense, and if they can keep Jordan Love clean in that pocket with Daniil Hunter, which I hope he's out of Minnesota and going to the A. I really do, because we need a guy like that. I think he's first, or at least tied for first, at least with sacks. Am I right?
He's up there. It's their number one trade rumor is it seems to be him week in, week out since Kirk, said he's staying. So I see what happens.
But yeah, if they keep that pocket clean for Love, they can do some damage against the secondary. That's the only thing is they got to keep them upright, because I mean, besides last game where we all know Denver is not the greatest defense, besides that, man, he's getting sacked 2 times versus Vegas, 5 times against Detroit. Just got to keep that pocket clean.
Yeah, I agree. Good spot, though, for the Packers. I like it.
But Badge, what do you got at the QB position?
So my stardom QB, I'm going back to, we touched on it with the mailbag with Cody. The dojo and I all agree. I was talking to him when we were doing some warm-ups. We love C.J. Stroud against the Panthers. So, guys, the Panthers are just not a good football team. I mean, they're 0-6. They got a rookie quarterback, even though he shows some signs with Bryce. The Panthers, however, they're towards the bottom tier with the pass defense. Bottom tier with the run defense. So I think he might be able to sneak some runs out too for some fantasy points. Coming off a rested up. I believe this offense, this Texans offense is poised for a big day. Plus, boys, I think C.J. Stroud he's going to be playing with a little fire here, saying, hey, I should have been that number 1 pick. So the team's going to recognize that. He's going to recognize that. This Panthers defense is not very good, even though they play low. They show signs, but still towards the bottom tier. I don't think I've ever been, I don't know if the word's excited, more interested in watching this game. Again, Stroud saying he should have been that number 1 pick. My start of the week is C.J. Stroud against the Panthers. Baney?
Yeah, so he was going to be my start of the week, but out of just fear of being repetitious on this podcast, I went a different way. CJ Stroud is going to give me a fit this week in my own matchup because I'm trying to see if I should start him or if I should start Tua this week. The matchup for Stroud is just, it's juicy. Like he said, the narrative of number 1 pick, should he be, should he not? I've never done a 180 harder on a player than I did CJ Stroud this year. I was the number 1 train conductor on the Ohio State quarterbacks aren't good train. And I'm wrong. I love him, and I've loved every interview, every press clipping you see of him. He says the right things, does the right things, and he looks great. Nothing else to say. Panthers defense is not worth the air talking about. So, Teak?
Yeah, I was on that same train with you. I was throwing coal in that engine, going down that same track with you. The thing is, can he sustain this for a whole season is the first thing. Second, can he do it again next year? Because we've seen some Ohio State QBs be a one and done. Fields had a big year last year, and now look at him. He's back doing what Ohio State. I know he's hurt right now, but he's on that roller coaster going up and down, and not very consistent. But yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. And hey, every time he gets in the end zone, I know I have him in a couple leagues. I'm doing that dance with him, So I like the play against Carolina. I hope they beat Carolina, obviously, for not like they're in any division run, but they're still division rivals.
Playing with a little chip on his shoulder this week.
I like it. I like the narrative.
Starting him in FanDuel, I'm going to let Baney say what I want to say.
Just give him a sponsorship, man. That's all I got to say, You're going to be real bummed out if we end up with somebody else, and you're just going to be missing out. So just
I
jump
don't
on.
talk about DraftKings. I mean, coming from the minion.
That is true. We got to give DraftKings some more props on here. We
No,
can't just put the
I want
spotlight on.
FanDuel.
I know you do, but hey, maybe we got to apply that pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. So,
You heard that. You heard it from Teak. You heard it from a minion.
hey,
They want what they can't have. Maybe somebody scoops us up, and then
Get it now.
price went up.
these are scary starts, fellas. Can we all agree? Like
Spooky season.
it's spooky season. Scary starts. I'm gonna have a scary start at QB. I just love this pick because it's a great underdog story. I'm going Tyson. I'm gonna butcher this last name. Is it Bajent or Badgent?
Bajent.
D2 QB getting a shot in the big leagues. Just won his first game. I don't know if you guys know this, but his dad's a famous arm wrestler.
28-time champ.
So the narrative's there. The Bears are having trouble as it is. He comes in, like I said, gets that dub. Besides the story, we all know this Chargers defense is just terrible. It's kind of, the kids like to say, sus. Okay? It's kind of sus. So I definitely think Bajent's going to have to keep up, obviously, with the offense for the Chargers, and he's going to have to sling that rock a lot more than what they want. So that's why I'm picking Bajent for fantasy purposes there. And hey, he might be a little sneaky DFS pick as well this week.
Yeah. I snuck him in a lineup last week. I have a nice little philosophy. I like to try to build a roster around the lowest budgeted starting quarterback and see where it goes and then kind of adapt afterwards. And I unfortunately talked myself into swapping him out for Hoyer. I thought maybe Hoyer would just pepper Devontae and maybe we can get a touchdown and some easy yards. And yeah, it bit me. The lineup's still cashed. However, it would have been a lot better if I left Badgett in. So good start. I mean, matchup against that defense is strongly advised, no matter what the name is. But yeah, I like it. Spooky season is upon us.
Oh yeah, I'm spooked. But the next man up theory, it always seems to play out. I mean, Badgett wasn't really flashy. He more managed the game. But his confidence has to be going up. So what better to be facing this Chargers defense? So definitely in my DFS lineup, I will be tinkering a little bit. So shout out.
All right. Moving on here to the running back position, Baney. What do you have for us here?
So I had to double check my list. I can't believe this name's on this list. It's going to be Dameon Pierce. So Badge talked about it a little bit. This Panthers defense is bad. There's a chip on Stroud's shoulder. I'm thinking they're going to be up early. They're going to be scoring often. I think they're going to have plenty of trips to the red zone. Listen to this list. Okay, I'm just going to read you the numbers. I'm going to go real quick. These are the running yards allowed by Panthers these last few weeks. 162, 159, 135, 146, 134, 130. There's going to be a lot of rushing yards up for grabs this game. I know you're going to look at the list and say, well, Pierce averaged 2.9 yards per carry. It's really been a bust this year. I think this is going to be his best game of the season. I don't know if there's much else to really touch on besides Panthers bad, Texans good. I think Stroud puts them in an opportunity to just run the game out the rest of the game, take care of the ball. Simple as that. You play the matchups. We're playing Dameon Pierce this week.
Yeah. Panthers defense, like you touched on, I touched on. We both agree. Bad run, bad pass. So, I mean, against Pittsburgh, Dameon Pierce had 24 touches. Against Atlanta, he had 20. I think he's going to get 20 here. I think he's poised. He's set up to have a decent game. Definitely a start. So I will be looking at that. So I like it, Baney. Minion. My boy. Pass it to Teak.
Yeah, if you look at his previous weeks here, the defenses he's been going up against here, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Pitt, Atlanta, New Orleans, those are all good run defenses. Atlanta still hasn't given up a rushing touchdown. Carolina is, I like if this is going to be his best game, it's definitely going to be at Carolina here coming this week. But Badge,
So, my start of the week, Baney, Minion. I know you're not a fan of this guy, but the matchup is there. I'm going Alexander Madison against the Packers. So I've learned to come. The Packers are not very good at defending the running back. So they're allowing 150 all purpose yards to opposing running backs this season. So the Vikings are feeding Madison. They're going to continue to do it. If the Vikes want to keep pushing along after this big win, they're going to have to get this running game going. I think he's going to have a big game, 100 yards, touchdown, few receptions. I'm starting Alexander Madison against this bad Packers run defense. Baney?
Our praise for J.R. Alexander has allowed us to overshadow that this Packers defense is actually kind of bad this year. That being said, the only thing that worries me about this is that I saw a lot of Cam Akers this week, and that made me very uncomfortable. But that being said, when I was putting DFS lineups together for this game, I didn't think that Madison's fantasy points per game were as high as they actually were. And he sees a lot of work in the pass game, which surprised me as well. Monitor, I guess, the week and see, if things are trending Akers or Madison's way. But I think that you might have cooked up a recipe this week with this start. So I like it.
yeah, I know you guys were on me for having Madison early in the season. But besides just looking at 2 weeks, he's been pretty consistent in double digits. Obviously, we want those numbers up, but he's not that kind of back. Like Benny said, he does get some work in the passing game. And what I agree with you also on there, Minion, is Cam Akers kind of scared me last week as well. I know you're not supposed to go week by week and stuff like that, but just to put in perspective, Madison got 8 touches to carry the football, and Cam Akers had 10. So he's losing those touches on that front, which scares me. So if they're trending that way, I might have to push back against this pick, Betch. But moving on here, this guy actually surprised me a lot. I kind of didn't want no part of the run game on this team whatsoever, just because they had so many weapons at the position. I'm going Isaiah Pacheco for my start. You're talking about guys who kind of surprise you about their fantasy numbers. Like I said before, with Madison, he had 2 weeks, Pacheco, that he had bad games. And other than that, he's averaged about 17 fantasy points per game, which is really good for where you drafted him, which is crazy to me. Broncos give up most to the running back position. That's huge. So it's a must start for me this week for Pacheco.
Yeah, talk about another player I did a 180 on this year. I didn't think that he really had any of the value that everybody was saying he did have. I thought that this was just going to be the Mahomes air raid offense, and there was going to be no work for Pacheco like it is. And yeah, they're running the ball very well. He's having a nice, quiet little season so far, and I think it's going to continue this week.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Pacheco was at my dojo last week. I mean, the guy, since week 3, he's been doing double digits. So, great matchup against the Broncos. We did some roundhouse kicks. I was tossing the ball. He was getting all ready. Like the start. Definitely eyeing him up.
All right, here. Moving on to the wide receiver position. Baney, what you got here for your starters at wide receiver?
Yeah, so Mike knows this all too well. If a wide receiver plays the Steelers defense, you start him. Just to ramble off some numbers here, Puka Nacua, 154 yards. Nico Collins, that's Mike's guy, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mari Cooper, 90 yards. Ayuk, 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. So 4, if I'm reading that list correctly, 4 of those guys were on our weekly recaps of highest scoring players in fantasy football. You're going to say, well, what about Christian Kirk? Well, give you a little bit of praise, Mike. I think Joey Porter is going to draw the wide receiver 1 matchup, and that's going to be a nightmare. I think Christian Kirk's the wide receiver 1 on this offense. So therefore, I think there's going to be room for Calvin Ridley to eat this week. Calvin Ridley must start this week. I think Kirk's going to have a rough go. I think he's going to draw the tougher defensive assignments. TJ Watt's great, all that yada yada. However, TJ Watt does not play safety or line up at the corner. He probably should. But yeah, there's Calvin Ridley to the moon. We'll probably talk about him on our weekly recap next week. So, Badge?
Yeah, hey, I agree. We talked about it. I'm surprised Puka, he was just the hair away from being on the recap. Thought he was. Talked about it. So, yeah, Ridley's hungry. He's awfully hungry. I know I got a couple trade offers to receive him. Just couldn't strike that deal. Ric Flair knows what I'm talking about. But, yeah, Pittsburgh always allows that one receiver to just find that open spot. I mean, find that mismatch. So I could see it. Teak?
I'm not on board with it. And I'll tell you why. Because I got the other end of the spectrum. I'm taking the number 1 receiver, Christian Kirk. But just to go over Ridley real quick, yeah, the targets are there, but the thing is, it's what he does with those targets and whether those targets are catchable or not. Week 2, he had 8 targets, only 2 catches for 32 yards. Week 3, 7 targets for 3 catches for 40 yards. And it happened again versus Indy, 8 targets for 4 catches for 30. And then last week against the Saints, 4 targets for 1 catch. That's what's scaring me. I don't even think Lawrence is giving him, I don't know. It's just, I don't think he's giving him catchable balls, to be honest with you.
I hear you 100%, but I thought Kupp was going to have a massive game, and he got shut out. And then when Puka was guarded by Joey Porter, was it 5 targets for 0 catches? I just think that Ridley is going to benefit by default. I think that Kirk is going to draw that coverage, and I don't think Lawrence is going to have a choice. I think he's going to have to dump it off. I think they're going to have him design touches. Got to give Ridley the ball. You can't keep denying him. I understand this target share to catchable target rate isn't really in his favor right now, but it's got to turn around. Why not against one of the worst pass defenses for the receiver than this week?
Real quick, Teak, I know you're going to say something. One of these guys are going to eat. I mean, I watch every game, every second of every game. One of these guys are going to eat. That's what happens with Pittsburgh's defense. They always let one top receiver, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll let you go ahead, Teak. Sorry for interrupting.
So I don't think you can compare the Rams to the Jaguars as terms of like what they're going to do against the team, how they're going to come back with the same game plan, because I don't think they respected the Rams run game. That's why Darrell Henderson got to do what he did coming off of the practice squad, just signed and just got the reins right off the rip. I think you have to respect what Etienne's doing in the run game and as a pass catcher. That way, I don't think they're going to focus. That focus is going to be Christian Kirk. So I don't know, Badge. You tell me. Did they just straight up man-to-man him? Did they safety help Cooper Kupp? Anything like that? I know I didn't watch the game all in depth like that, but
so all year they had Minka pressed up to kind of get in that box. This game against that Rams high-powered offense, he was back. So I think that's what kind of shut down Cooper Kupp. They were kind of shadowing him. That's why I kind of figured Puka was going to have a decent week. It's Tough. I mean, I think their focus is going to be on ETN, so that's why I think one of these guys are going to have a big game. Just it's a matter of who. So
that's kind of what I'm playing off of. It's a different offense, I think, completely. Yeah, the weapons are more stout for the Rams, as in receiver wise, but all around, man, this offense for the Jags doesn't look bad whatsoever. But it all depends on Trevor Lawrence.
yeah, one of them will be poised for a big day. I mean, like you touched it, Teak. You nailed it. Actually, they weren't really scared of that Rams run, so that's why they backed Minka up and they focused on one of those two guys.
But Badge, what do you have at the wide receiver?
So this one is going to my minion above me. It's a shout out to him. I'm sure he's gonna be happy, and I can't wait to hear what he talks about. So I'm going Devontae Smith against the Commanders. So Devontae Smith, he's due for a big game. I know after AJ Brown said he wants it to be involved. I mean, this Commanders defense is allowing almost 200 yards to wide receivers this season. Jalen Hurts is on track. This offense is starting to go. I mean, they just beat Miami. We all seen it. I was a part of the whole situation downstairs watching the TV. They were not happy. I think the Eagles offense found it. Hurts is alive. Sirianni, he always looks like he's going to go to bed, but he was alive as well. So I love this matchup against the Eagles. I think they're going to, or against the Commanders. I think the Eagles are going to continue to roll. They're pumped right now. I mean, they're making big moves. Give me Smith this week. He's going to have a big day against this Commanders team. So I'm going to let my minion above take it from here.
Nana.
Yeah, the secondary is absolutely struggling for Washington, and some of Smith's best games of his career have been against Washington. So, yeah, I like this start. I don't have any issues with this start at all. Obviously, very pro Philly, but yeah, hopefully Washington can make it a shootout again. That would only make your start look even better. So, Duke.
Yeah, division games are tough. I'm hoping he goes back and gets more better looks of throwing the ball as well. I know these past couple weeks, man. I know last week he had 5 targets, 4 catches. It's just, man, like this dude was such a weapon in the beginning of the season, the first 2 weeks. And right after AJ Brown kind of chirped a little bit, it's been downhill for this guy ever since. And I don't know why that is. Like, you picked this guy, I believe was he a top 10 pick? Manny?
Yeah.
Picked him fairly early.
Yeah, no, he was a top 10 pick. Yeah, dude, 125 yards in 5 straight games for AJ. I mean, you would like to think that there's enough to go around, but
yeah, I actually thought Miami was going to take him, but they took Waddle. Surprised me.
Yeah, so I mean, can you blame them? I mean, they're a horse apiece, these two guys. But division games are always tough because they know each other so well. But yeah, I'm hoping for the start as well because I got some shares in him, and this guy needs it, dude, to bump up this guy's value. Because where you drafted him, you're not getting the value you expected going into this year. So
that offense is starting to click.
But moving on and wrapping it up with the tight ends here. Baney, finish her off.
Yeah. I am going Darren Waller. Not where I expected to be, but here we are. And to be honest with you, I like this even more if Tyrod Taylor plays. 100%. Just regardless of the Jets defense, I know that's going to be a tough matchup. However, it seems like they're finally figuring out that Darren Waller actually plays on this team, and they're giving him the ball. His last 2 weeks with Tyrod Taylor, 7 catches, 98 yards, a touchdown. 5 catches, 43 yards. That totals to 12 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown. Why is that significant? That's a third of his catches on the season, and that's over half of his yards for the season in the last 2 weeks, and his only touchdown. Yeah, I don't know. The Jets have also given up 3 games with 100-yard receiver. So, I mean, as good as the Jets defense has been, they got injuries and they've given up some big games to big, receiving options. So, Darren Waller, start him.
So my minion. I think this is the first time I'm gonna disagree with you here. The Jets, one of the best defenses at defending the tight end position. I actually had Waller number 2 on my sit list. They just don't give it up to the tight ends. This Jets defense is elite. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I actually took the under, but who knows? I mean, it's fantasy football, so you can always squeak out that touchdown. One of the few times I'm going to disagree with you. Like I said, I had Waller as my second sit at the tight end position, so I'll pass it to Teak.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you as well. I got Waller as well. This Jets defense actually gives up the most to the tight end position. So I have Waller for that reason. And Tyrod Taylor has been a blessing to fantasy owners. I know talking top 3, like we said last week, we're talking top 3 for this guy in the beginning of the season. And Tyrod's made him relevant. I know Bainey hit on a lot of the same points I was going to hit on. But yeah, this Jets defense is actually ranked the worst against the tight end position. So he should flourish this week. Yep.
Maybe I got that backwards then.
Yep. The Ravens are the stingiest against the tight end position right now.
Well, we will see. I do have faith in that Jets D. So maybe I did get that backwards. So I did have Waller on my sits list. So
yeah. You never know. But moving on to you, Sensei Badger.
So, so my stardom of the week for tight end, I'm going Jake Ferguson. Yes, I know his targets have been going down these past few games. Rams are giving up the 3rd most yards to tight ends. Slim pickings outside of the top 3, 4. He's going to have 60 yards in a TD. I'm going to start him in my FanDuel lineup. Coming off a bye, I believe they're going to prep for him to get him the ball, especially in the red zone. I'm starting Jake for my tight end this week. Bainey?
I can get behind it. I don't know. I feel like it's just such hit or miss at this entire position week after week. You just don't know who's really going to show up or not. But if the target volume's there and it's a good offense, I think you have to take it. And yeah, I can't find a reason to really disagree with you on this, to be honest. So, dude.
I feel like I'm Ric Flair when he's going against the NWO right now, and I'm just gonna keep Flair chopping all of Badge's picks. I'm totally against Jake Ferguson for multiple reasons. One big reason is Dak. Not a fan, on record, well documented. Not a fan. Like Badge said too, in the beginning of the season, he was getting targets. 7, 4, 7, 7. Past 2 weeks, 3, 1. They're coming off a bye. Yeah, he's going to be fresh. I just don't see why production went down that much over these last 3 weeks just for them to come back and just pepper him. And to do that with Dak where, man, this should be a game where Dak flourishes, but for some reason it's them boys are going to be them boys sometimes, man. And Badge knows just as well as I do, them boys tend to screw it up sometimes, man.
They are them boys. And going back, yes, I did get that backwards with the Waller. So I'm banking on a good matchup that day. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff, but yeah, I mean Ferguson again with this tight end position, it's so outside the top 3, 4. I mean it's hard. I want to give some. I want to give the viewers something good. You know, I don't want to start Kelsey. So I'm banking on, like I said, nothing crazy flashy.
Yeah, it's a good matchup
You know,
for the tight end spot.
So,
Hey, that's why it's scary starts. You know?
oh yeah, I must have been scared today when I was doing mine. So,
So that does wrap up our starts episode. I know the Let 'Em Know podcast. Thanks you for watching. Please, 60% of you are not subbed to the YouTube channel. Can we get a sub? Woo!
I'll do a roundhouse kick.
It is totally free. Please. I don't know how I'm just begging on here, man. We're begging for what are we begging for? DraftKings, FanDuel, you guys. Please hit it and take us away, Badge.
We get 50 subscribes. I will roundhouse kick an apple off of the minion's head live. Next episode. 50 subscribes. That's nothing. We can get that right now. I will do it live. Roundhouse kick an apple off of his head. He might need to wear a helmet, but I will do it.
Hey, how bad is someone gonna make like 50 accounts real quick to just see Baney get roundhouse to the face?
Baney would do it. Baney would do it for the pod.
I'd do it for the pod.
But that wraps it up, guys. Thanks for watching.
Listening to another episode of the Let 'Em Know Fantasy Football Podcast. Join our community and follow us on all socials, or keep up with the episodes on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.